hardness and passion and fire. With quick slashes of her pencil, she added a pointy tail that curved out from behind the modest frock coat he'd worn back when he was plain old Mr. Burns, before he'd unexpectedly inherited the earldom of Hunferth. That's when he'd become too good for her, too conscious of his precious lineage and important connections. That's when he'd become exactly like every other man in English society. Although most people assumed Papa was a widower and Lucy his daughter, they soon learned otherwise from the gossips. Lady Kerr, her stepmother, had gently warned her that her odd parentage might prove an issue for high sticklers, especially since she wasn't a great heiress like her friends. And though men had shown her some interest during her first season, she'd had no offers. Not that she'd encouraged them, she'd been waiting for Peter. But she would have thought one would have made an offer anyway. Unless... Oh, Lord, what if Peter were right about her? What if everybody thought she was some hussy, not good enough to become a respectable man's wife? Was that why men were always eyeing her bosom and trying to kiss her on balconies? They never seemed to do that to the other girls. They certainly never did that to Lady Juliana. Rich, elegant, boring Lady Juliana, whom Peter had apparently chosen as sufficiently suitable to be his bride. Fresh tears sprang to her eyes. How dared he spurn her? The other men didn't surprise her. Half were sheep who did what their mamma said. But Peter was supposed to be... hers. She'd make him rue the day he'd rejected her. She'd started to sketch a knife protruding from his treacherous heart when a knock came at the door. Hastily, she thrust the sketch pad beneath a pillow and bade the person enter. Her stepmother glided into the room with her usual grace, another trait Lucy lacked. "Your father has finished his discussion with Mrs. Harris." Lady Kerr, who'd been married to Papa for little more than a year, surveyed the harum-scarum pile of clothing on the bed. "So we're leaving, and he'd like to say goodbye. I'll be along shortly." Lady Kerr glanced at the open trunk. "Shall I help you unpack first?" "I don't need your help," Lucy snapped, then regretted it when Lady Kerr flinched. Lucy softened her tone. "It's kind of you to offer, but I can handle it alone. There's no reason for you to alter your plans." Lady Kerr's half-hearted smile pricked Lucy's conscience. The woman had tried hard to be her friend. Papa had even hinted at how much it would mean to Lady Kerr to have Lucy call her mother, but Lucy couldn't bring herself to do it. She chafed at Lady Kerr's constant reminders to lower her voice and mind her tongue, and not laugh at men's rough jokes. If all a mother did was chide, perhaps she was better off without one. At least Lady Kerr improved Papa's life. Though she didn't always approve of his blustering, she did love him. And she was right about him, too, strong and calm, to balance his impetuous nature, and never daunted by the addle-brained things he did when distracted. Lady Kerr would make certain he didn't forget his hat. Of course, managing Papa had been Lucy's job until she'd left for school. She missed that, and the dinners when he'd spun tales of India, or the evenings when she'd practiced her sums for his approval. Life had been simple then. A sigh escaped her. As usual, Lady Kerr mistook it. "You don't have to stay. Your father and I would love to have you go with us to meet Venetia in Edinburgh. Surely another instructor can teach drawing until Mrs. Harris can replace the teacher who quit." Lucy returned to unpacking. "Actually, I look forward to the teaching. Edinburgh is such a bore, and I should stay busy until the season is in full swing." And she needed to show Peter Burns that she wasn't irresponsible. After she impressed him with her level-headed behaviour as a teacher, he would grovel at her feet, admitting he'd been wrong and begging her forgiveness. She might forgive him, she might not, but she could do neither if she was stuck up north while he pranced about town with Lady Juliana. Taking her stepmother's arm, Lucy guided her toward the door. "You should go. You know how Papa is about waiting." Besides, she wanted them both off so she could wallow in her misery. They walked down in silence to find Papa pacing before the stairs. When he heard them and looked up, his irritation altered instantly to pleasure. Most of it was for Lady Kerr, and the Countess's blush further illustrated their bond. A painful yearning pierced Lucy. Would a man ever look at her like that and make her blush? Even Peter hadn't managed that. She wasn't the blushing sort. "There's my lasses," Papa boomed. His manner of speaking was one thing Lady Kerr hadn't civilized out of him. "Come now, Maggie, no dawdling."